Now, the purpose of this presentation will be to 1. Analyze this particular biblical story to become more familiar with the actual biblical facts. 2. Assess the story's significance and its relevance in the Bible and also in the story of Yeshua. 3. To highlight how the story has influenced or has been influenced by the Christian tradition. And 4. Examine the story's relevance to Africa and African people, both biblically and traditionally. Now, before I get into this presentation, I would like to start with an opening statement. This statement was made in the 20th century by a very influential African Christian. This statement, I think, incorporates the full essence of this story and will set the scene for this presentation.
The mystery of Bethlehem. The mystery of Bethlehem reveals itself in our spirits, more fascinating the more we advance on the path of life, and the more we realize the magnitude of the mission each one of us has to accomplish in this world, be it humble or noble, arduous or thankless. An unheard of event expected for more than 40 centuries has at last been accomplished. The Son of God is born. He has only a stable for his palace and a manger for a cradle. The hearts of the wise are thrilled by the majestic humility, and the kings of the earth bend their knees before him and worship him.
So, what do we know about these wise men? What can we learn from the Bible? And what has been handed down to us from the Christian tradition? Come, let us make an inquiry. To do so, we must ask some questions. 1. Who were these visitors? 2. Why did they visit? The motive. 3. Where did they come from? 4. When did they visit? 5. The purpose of their visit. The aim. And 6. The relevance of their gifts. To answer these questions, we will use 2 sources. 1. The Bible, our primary source, and 2. Christian tradition. Once we have done this, then we will look at the significance of these answers, both in the Bible and to African Christianity. So come, let us begin our inquiry. What do we really know about the wise men? Let's find out. So, who were they? Their identity? What do we learn from the Bible? Well, unfortunately, the Bible doesn't give us any clear description. No names or number of wise men is given. However, in our tradition we are familiar with 3 kings or magicians, the Magi, often called Balthazar, Caspar and Melchiah. But what is the significance? Well, they knew of a prophecy of a star signaling the birth of the Messiah. And what about the motive? Why did they visit? Well, the Bible tells us that they simply saw his star and came to worship him. But in our tradition, we are told they came to fulfill prophecy and set the scene of his life, his ministry, and his death. But what is the significance? Well, we are simply told that they came to find out where the star was leading them and to confirm the prophecy. And where did they come from, their origin? Well, the Bible simply tells us that they came from the east. Nevertheless, in our tradition, we either get from one place or from many places. For example, Persia, Babylon, and sometimes Arabia. But what is the significance of this? Well, they were not in Jerusalem, but came from one place in the east. And the timing. When did they visit? Well, according to the Bible, we can gather that it was within 2 years of Jesus' birth. Likewise, in our tradition, we find it was either in the first 2 years or immediately after his birth. So what is the significance of this? Well, they were some of the first visitors and arrived shortly after the birth. And question number 5, the purpose. What was the aim of their visit? Well, the Bible simply tells us that they came to worship, bring gifts, honor, and acknowledge the birth of a new king. But in our tradition, we are told that they came to fulfill prophecies. For example, Isaiah 60 verse 3, Psalm 68 verse 29, and Psalm 72, to name but a few. But what is the significance? Well, we are told they were possibly not Israelites but followed the Jewish religion. And last but not least, question number 6, the relevance of their gifts. Well, in the Bible, there is no actual reference in the story, but the items are very significant in Jewish culture. However, in our tradition we learn that gold was for his kingship, incense for his priesthood, and myrrh for his death, mortality, and his resurrection. But what is the significance of this? Well, these are symbolic items in the Bible with specific sources in the ancient world. So there you have it, the facts, tradition, and the significance of the wise men in the Bible.